guys, welcome to another episode of Fail with Fire. I am your podcast host, Phoenix Ha. I'm also the CEO of AdBeacon, my favorite first-party data attribution and optimization platform. Today, I get to introduce this awesome human being who I actually just got to know through the grapevine. And before I got to tell you more and more about him, Aaron, say hi.
What's up? Dude, I'm so stoked to be here. See, I really don't know how we met. I mean, my guess is Geek Out. I think it was Geek Out Nashville was like the first time that we like hung out, but you know, Twitter, friends, the whole community.
You were actually 100% correct. So we met in Nashville. I was speaking at Geek Out and I met you and you were wearing this really fuzzy jacket that had all these colors. And I remember looking at Ryan and going, that guy's kind of rad. And you were so welcoming, sweet and kind, like, which by the way, a lot of people are very sweet and kind in this space, but this was different. This is genuine. And you kind of told me that you worked in the CBD space and more the THC space actually at the time. And then as we kind of moved on, I thought that would be the first and last time I would meet you. And little did we know down the road, our paths would intertwine again. So, you know, Aaron, really funny enough, we spoke on a couple different things, but
by the way, you had really cool shoes back then. You had like these custom Nikes, I think, or not, they were Nikes. They were custom.
Strays.
I forget what they were. Strays. Yeah.
No, my shoe game will always be on point, but thank you. Yeah. So, you know, what actually struck me about you was your kindness and your transparency. And then I started seeing your content online. Then you started Bree's, which is, you know, an incredible movement. It's not just a drink, it's a movement because I think that the product development can become so much bigger with Nick Shackelford and so much more. And we are Lucid. And I actually know people that work for you. So it's a small world that's intertwined and I'm very grateful to know you. But the official introduction of Aaron is the founder of Lucid, the largest cannabis social advertising agency in the world. And Bree's, which is what we had just mentioned, is a next generation cannabis and mushroom-infused social tonic. You're an entrepreneur, you're an investor, an adventurer, and you co-founded numerous endeavors, driving hundreds of millions in revenue for not only yourself, but for your projects and your clients, all while traveling the world, which is funny because you right now are in Italy.
Totally, dude. And honestly, the traveling the world part is more my wife than me. She's a travel writer by trade, which she thinks she has a cool job, but like I get to travel with her and I don't even have to write about it. So that's kind of what I think is the cool job. But she gets invited to different places and I get to tag along and we just nice being on the internet. You know, you can run all your companies from a computer that's kind of our lane.
I love that you're a +1. Oh my God, that makes me so happy. Yeah, it's such a good vibe. But Aaron, welcome to the podcast. We are honored to have you. And as true Fail with Fire, form, I wanted to ask you if we were at a barbecue and Sky, who is your wife, or somebody in your family that's 10 degrees separated from what you do day to day, how would they introduce you? And what would they say you do for work?
Jeez, I don't even think my parents know what I do still. I mean, they have like a loose idea. I don't know. What would they, my wife would say, that he builds, my wife knows kind of what we're up to. So she would say that I have this really cool cannabis and mushroom, drink, that's we're scaling and that we do a lot of advertising for big cannabis brands, on social. My mom would say like, he does marketing on the internet. My dad would say, he does something with CBD, probably. Yeah. And he likes making drinks. So he'd probably say that he has a new drink. He kind of pushes it pretty hard, but mostly they know me as a social media marketer, probably is what most of them would call me.
That's a pretty advanced understanding of what you do in comparison to like what I feel like most parents would say. Like I always joke around and that my mom thinks that I know all her passwords to her, like everything. Because I know everything on the internet or we don't really know what we do. But that actually is a pretty great understanding. And I know Sky probably knows exactly what you do. She's with you.
Right.
Awesome.
I do have a couple like cousins and whatnot. I even had an uncle one time. He was like, yeah, I think he sells drugs on the internet. And I'm like, dude, like you're not like wrong. I wouldn't say it like that, but I guess you're not wrong.
Yeah. No. Let me make something very, very clear really quickly. I have not got paid a dime by Breeze for anything that I've promoted for you guys just because, well, number one, I don't want to. And number two, it's because I really, truly believe in what you guys are doing. And I've said this a million times, like if it's a good product, I'll back it. If it's good people, I'll back it even harder. And I think I've been watching you, and I've said this multiple times with other people. I watch you from afar and I look at your ethos and I go, do I like these people? Great, I'll align. And it just naturally was easy, especially with content creation. And, you and I were talking, and down the road when you guys create, UGC or CGC programs with micro influencers, if not whatever that form looks like down the road. Yeah, like monetization is going to be down there. But as you are in the nitty gritty now, startup, you got to get scrappy and you got to have really good content that actually performs. So I'm happy to see that things are doing well. I'm stoked and I'm like rooting you guys on from afar. But also on the We Are Lucid side, how
Was she
grounded.
the first person to buy Breeze or first person to receive Breeze? I'm pretty sure. I
I
forget.
would love to find out if I was the first person to buy, because I definitely did. But I was the first person to receive, oh my God, yeah, the Breeze, let it be known. And also, I was the first person to accidentally order so much that it stacked up so high. And my fiance is like, what are we doing? I'm like, don't worry about it. Just drink it. And so good, dude. I love it. It was great. So
Well, I
congratulations.
appreciate that. I appreciate that big time. I feel completely the same way. Like, some people just get it, and I also think real recognizes real. I think there's just something to that. And I'm forever grateful that you made that early UGC content. It's still one of our top performing ads on Meta. People love it, and like it like in those early days, man. Like anyone who's willing to like. It means a lot, the people who are willing to help you in the early days. And so I really appreciate that. It would make a big difference. And like things are shifting up very quickly, very fast for Breeze. And I think we're just getting started. But yeah, never forget the people who helped me when we just started.
Yeah. Again, when it's good, and we'll continue to support each other. And that's like a little hint to everyone in the space. Like you can't be too cool, right? There was this concept when I used to work in skate. I don't know if you know this, I used to work in skate, and it's always this idea that we're too cool so we don't move. And
Yeah,
if you're cool,
so
if you
stupid.
so dumb, like nobody likes those people, and the cool people are usually like not doing super great right now. But
I'm
yeah,
just like, that's
right.
actually like a crazy important point. I think like there's definitely value to being cool. Like there's something to be said about like being presentable, being fun and interesting. But like the idea, like I'm just so not that guy. Like I think I'm like I think I'm cool, but I think I'm cool because I'm just like honest and transparent and clear and say what I mean and mean what I say. Like that's why like I think that's what I think is cool. But the people that are just like playing these like I don't know, these face games, it's so boring,
Oh,
I would say.
so good. It's just so boring. And you're right. Boring. And it's also inefficient. You know, I love what you said. So like there's a common misconception with my personality that because I'm quote unquote edgier, then I'm a bitch. And that's not the
Mm,
case. Like I will be front row and center cheering you on. I will be your biggest fan, but I'll also wear chains and a hoodie and a beanie with it. Your attitude will shift the relationships around you, and your aesthetic doesn't always have to be this like thing, right? So I
for
think you're
sure.
the list because you've supported people and you've watched people grow, and your warmth, you didn't even know who I was when we first met. And your warmth, I still remember above anything else.
I
So
appreciate that. Thank you.
yeah, I remember I shot Shaq a message. I was like, hey, Lucid, that's you, yeah? And he goes, you met, he's like, you met Aaron. I was like, oh my God. So it's so funny. Like I said, it's like the person before all the other things that are really rad that we do. But again, I'm so happy to have you on here because hand selecting people to come onto this podcast is half the battle. Making sure the authenticity is there and we're able to get raw and real about our conversations. The premise of Fail with Fire for anybody who's tuning in for the first time is that as much as we love the height and the fun and the great things that come from our hard work, there were a lot of fails that got us to where we are today. And there are going to be far more failures coming down the road, right? And if you don't fail with a fire to take you back, if the fire is not the catalyst and the failure is not the catalyst of something great, then it's just that, it's a failure. So, Aaron, if you could bless us with maybe an instance in your life that you would consider a failure and how you came back from it and what you learned from it.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, like, honestly, all of my success is just any success that I or my partners have is really just a reflection of us being persistent past and through our failures. Like, and they all just stack into one another. So, today we have Bree, which is this next gen social tonic. It's cannabis and mushrooms in a can, essentially legal THC that we're sending to 50 states, wild. And then we have Lucid, which is now the largest cannabis and social advertising firm. So all of those are actually kind of like manifestations of like one, they're like the next steps of one big failure. So, you told me earlier you want the deep one. So this one's a bit traumatic, but it's where I really cut my teeth. So I've been in e-commerce since I was like 13 years old. I did a lot of big cartel at like MySpace and things, but I really cut my teeth with a brand called Monk. Monk was M-O-N-Q. It was, are you familiar?
Am familiar with Monk. Crazy. Small world. Go for it.
Dude. Yeah. So I was the CMO there. I was actually the first person on the team other than the father and the son, or I don't know, whatever, one of the first core builder there. And so I met these guys. They had this portable aromatherapy diffuser, and it was called a Monk Aroma Vape. And I was like, dude, no one's going to buy this. No one wants a healthy vaporizer. It was all black. It looked like a blue cigarette. So what Monk was is it's like a vaporizer. They took the nicotine and tobacco out. They added essential oils to it. And so very similar to like how you had a home diffuser at home. You put your lavender oil in it. It would diffuse throughout the day, but you could, breathe it. And this is when vaporizing was cool. So had a little different time
before everyone had a collapse lung. And then there's
yeah. And there's all kinds of tech. We were definitely on the right side of the fence of that. We had two doctors as part of the company. So we were definitely in the right side of the fence of that side. But that being said, so the reason it was a failure is, so I joined this company. I helped redesign the product. They came back, showed me the product, said, hey, come build with us and I'll give you a piece of the company. And I was like, hell yeah, that's great. And so I started working with them. With the first year, we just worked our tails off. We drove $100,000 in sales. And the whole time I was, in my head, and from talking to these conversations and these emails and phone calls, I was promised 1 to 4% of equity, but I didn't know, I'm not my eyes or crossed my T's. I was just like a scrappy marketer who knew how to build internet companies, Instagram profiles, and make shit happen on the internet quickly. And so I just ran for it. And I just trusted that like it would be fine. So first year we did 100,000. The second year I wrote a letter to Zuckerberg and I was like, hey, Mark, this is pure innovation. This is not an e-cigarette. This is not a vaporizer. I just found this email on like Google. And I was like, this is not a vaporizer. It's not an e-cigarette. All of your policies say no e-cigarettes, no vaporizers. That's not what this is. And if you don't realize that, you have forgotten what innovation is, and the corporate machine is at your soul. So I wrote that and like expecting,
Wait. Before you even move on, that's fucking crazy. So you just went balls to the wall and you're like, you know what? It's a gut check. That was good.
Absolutely. Well, I didn't think first time I didn't think he'd read it, but like if he was gonna read it, I needed to say something that was gonna matter. Otherwise, just give me another email. So he didn't reply. No one said anything, but like the next day my ad account was unlocked. And we became the first non-vaporizer to ever advertise on the platform. Crazy, right? And so then from that point, we scaled from 100,000 to 7 million that year. This is like early D2C days. So this is like before we called it D2C. This is before Nick Sharma, or like in his very early days, And so I called, so we did that. And then the next year we did 7 million to 15 million. In annual revenue. So, within 3 years, we were doing 15 million annual revenue. This is like before companies did that. Like that was not like really a thing back then in e-commerce, and so we were the top 50 fastest growing companies in America 2 years in a row. We were the top 1% of fastest growing advertisers on Meta. We were in this Disruptors program. So I flew out to Meta headquarters several times and met with Sheryl Sandberg and like all these different people and did the whole thing. On my wife's birthday, after we just finished we're just coming up on $15 million for the year. I got an email. No, I didn't get an email. The CEO had the COO hop on a call and fire me. And like a week before that, he sent me some stock option agreement that was like total bullshit and did not reflect the agreement that we had. It was like It required my whole salary as a strike price. Just total fucking nonsense. And so I just like spiraled. I'm like, dude, I just spent like 3 of the best years of my life doing the best marketing and advertising that was just like next level marketing and advertising. I'd tell you about some of it, but it was crazy the stuff we pulled off. And you're just going to push me out. And so I kind of spiraled for a long time, but that was the catalyst, that innovation of like understanding policy and then how to innovate upon policy and to do things other people couldn't do just by doing a little bit more research and being a little bit more creative, was the catalyst that built, that gave me like, it's the same innovation that built Lucid. It's the same innovation that built Bree. So terribly challenging, but, and honestly, like, dude, I was like in a pretty bad spiral. I started smoking a lot of pot, and I say, like, at one point, I'm like, I got to figure out how to make this profitable, pot smoking. Otherwise, it'll be a big problem. So, I just kind of went with it. So that's probably my biggest failures. I thought I owned, I built this company from 0 to 50. I was this chief marketing officer, and online sales drove 97% of total sales, and the other 3% were inbound leads from online sales. We've made it up and all this, but I've forgiven him. We've had conversations, so it's all like water under the bridge now. But it was definitely traumatic for a young marketer who thought he had built a multi-million-dollar company that he owned.
That's great. That water under the bridge for you guys. I'm glad you've connected. I hope he hears this, but that was wrong.
That was wrong.
Vile. And I'm going to call you, like, not you, but that person out. But anyway, let's go back really quick. So it's so
I don't think he thinks it's wrong, but yeah, it was definitely wrong. It's like different generations. And I don't know, man, like he was an older guy, and like, those generations were just very like dog eat dog sharp. Like the opposite of what we were talking about earlier. Like I just build open and clear and honest. And like, I want to I'm probably honest, transparent to a fault where people could hurt me if they wanted to. But I think that that's like my secret weapon, is that like, how are you going to hurt me if I don't, like, if I'm just loving?
Right. But like, you have core values. Look, it is wrong. It is wrong. I don't care if you're going to say that there's a way to do business and there's a way not to do business. I learned that a long time ago, by the way, because I made a really big mistake, Aaron. Long time ago, I listened to how my parents did business. My parents were very successful, specifically my mother's boyfriend. Very, very okay. And I watched and I listened as a kid. Your
mother's boyfriend's Warren Buffett. Just kidding.
He is an boyfriend, but yeah. But yeah, like I watched and I listened to the way they treated people and how they did business and how cutthroat they were. So immediately as I started to become a little bit more, I would say, elevated in terms of management, I started acting like that. And I made a very big mistake, and I treated someone a specific type of way because I said, that's business, this old mentality, and it bit me in the ass. You have to adapt. And all you owe, and I've said this a million times, all you owe to this world is to be a good person. And I know that that is subjective. But listening to you speak, I love just listening, right? Because I can hear the way your train of thought goes and the way that you kind of dissect categories of topic. And I can tell that you're glazing over the pain on purpose. And I know that you put your heart and soul. Anybody who's in this space fucking puts their heart and soul into this. New innovative ideas are not easy to come by, and then to be able to execute and see reward, incredible. And then you have equity, right? So that's a whole other level. And then to have that ripped away from you when you're at your height, when you're getting all this. And I might be speaking on behalf of someone I don't know because I don't know this other person. But what I've noticed is there's sometimes this aspect of jealousy when somebody else is able to execute your company. So it's his company, right? But you were a key player. And now this key player is far exceeding anything you could have possibly done. And you have to make the decision. There's 2 types of leaders. One who's going to empower and lift you up and go, hell yeah, it's for the greater good. And another one that says, give me mine, right? Give me mine. This is mine. This is not his. And it seems like that happened. And I'm sorry, but like that fucking would have wrecked me. And you said it.
Yeah. It wrecked me, dude. It wrecked me hard. It wrecked me for like a while. And like even the startups I started after that, I started a soap company pretty quickly after that called Lubeck. Just like the idea, it was a pretty aggressive idea, but I was like, it's kind of like anti-makeup. I'm like, I just like went on this whole angle of like skincare is overcomplicated and really an industrialized industry that's just trying harming women, and makeup's history is just like riddled with just like terribleness. Like originally it was all poison, almost all like and people would put it on their skins and just like killing themselves. And then the fact that like So I'll go on a whole riff on it. But like the fact that Fortune 500 companies can require women to wear makeup as part of their uniform, I just think is the most ludicrous thing I've ever heard in my entire. And it's like makeup as an art form is beautiful. Like there's something very special and awesome and cool about that. But makeup as a requirement by a patriarchal society, or not even by anyone, it's just fucking ludicrous. And so so that was a cool idea, but like I just like I like hurt people, you know? And so like, I was just like hurt and I was wrecked. And then like, I just did bad partnerships. I did bad business and it was just yucky, for a little bit, but you know, you learn, like, I think learning to being patient with myself and like loving to myself and like, and also just like accepting of it. Like, I mean, even to this, like it was extremely painful and extremely hard. But like, I'm so grateful for also the opportunity that guy, although I feel like I got screwed, and I've expressed that, I also got the opportunity to just like build, and go for it. And like, I learned a lot, and it gave me a safe place to build a multi-million-dollar venture. So that next time I did it myself, that I would be confident and clear. And I'll tell you one big thing. We got to the point of like the top of like 15 million revenue. And then I was like, oh, like I need to hire someone who could help me. I was like, we should replace me as CMO. Like I would actually express this. I'm like, I think we should get a new CMO that I should work underneath, and then I can bring to the knowledge table and he can teach me. Kind of a good idea. But man, I just didn't bet on myself, and I should have bet on myself. Like, I think a misconception is I got uncertain just because I was in such a new league that I hadn't played in before, that I was like, someone must know how to do this better. But who knows how to do like next gen innovative marketing that brought a company to $15 million online better than the guy who did it? Like there's things I could learn from other people, but like the things that got us there were what I was doing, and what my team was doing. And like, we needed to double down, not pull away. And so, yeah, so it was definitely painful. It definitely can be painful, and it has been painful, but yeah, I'm just such a good vibes only kind of guy now. You know what I mean? Like,
It's the weed. There's a couple key things. There's a couple key things you said that I think are really important to like, again, think about. So number one is this concept that nobody owes you anything, but things can still be wrong. So like, that guy didn't owe you anything, right? He didn't owe you a certain amount of money, and you don't owe him anything. You know that your level of work and excellence and execution is very high, and thank God he received it. And that's awesome. But you didn't owe him that. He didn't know it. Fine. But there is still a barometer of wrong and right, whichever that is. It's wrong. So here we are, right? Money is one of those things that comes and goes. I firmly believe that. And how you build it and how you lose it, again, should be your responsibility, which is a beautiful thing that you have the ability to use somebody else's money to build it up to 15 million. And then down the road, now you're able to build your own, right? You don't have play money anymore, but you had play money at the time. And then another thing you said is like, you said that you didn't get to bet, you should have doubled down and bet on yourself sooner. And what's so funny, I love that you said that, because I got out of college, I'm going to all these different, like I'm an intern, I'm a this, I'm a that. And all I was searching for was mentorship. I was like, this person's going to know it. Like, I want to work with these people. I want to become the CEO and the CMO of Nike. Like, these were things that were going on in my head at the time at 23. And I'm like, I'm going to fucking kill it. And every time I would go to a job, whether it be in like internal with brand or agency side, it was like a shit show, including Nike. Sorry, guys, I've worked with you too. What the hell? You know, you're sitting there and like, they don't know what they're doing. No one knows what they're doing. And then they're searching for a leader to figure it out. And sometimes you are that leader. That doesn't mean that level is gone. Like, there are incredibly wise people. And when you find them, hold on to them. However, what you said resonates with me, because you are that new thought leader. Like, what were you going to do? Hire another CMO because you saw an article that guy was so great or that girl was so great? No, you are that guy or that girl. You just have to push the threshold of what excellence is. So I'm so glad you said that.
Dude, you're so right. People get this wrong so often. And it's like, because it's scary. It's just scary. It's scary to believe in yourself. It's scary to bet on yourself. It's scary to take the risk. It's scary. Like, what if you're wrong? It's scary to own the responsibility of being wrong and or right. I was in Amsterdam after this sometime, and I went to this conference. It's called, I don't know if you know, Getting Things Done. David Allen, he wrote this book called, like, one of like the big productivity books of the 90s and the early 2000s. And so he wrote this book. I went to his conference. Long story short, I was talking to these guys. I'm like, oh, where should I be investing? Like, I wasn't making much money at the time. And he's like, I'm like, where should I be investing my time and energy and my capital? And he's like, I goes, I don't know why you're talking to me about real estate. I don't know why you're talking to me about gold. I don't know why you're talking to me about any of these things. The only thing that's going to drive you outsized returns and that's going to do exponential opportunity for you is investing in yourself. And it stuck with me ever since that point. And like, for some reason, I just like didn't even think about that because like I was just thinking to myself, like, oh, no, like I need to have like some safe investments, maybe some risky ones, and maybe I should be in art, or maybe I should do, whatever. But like, the highest, the thing you have the most control over, and the thing that can drive the highest amount of return, and that is the most flexible, no matter what situation comes your way, is you. And you making that investment into yourself, whether it's financially, professionally, or whatever, it's definitely the play. And there's ways to do that smarter than others. But man, people just don't take risks. And there's a lot of people that talk about this, like to agree as well. Gary Vee talks about like making risks when you're younger. I think there's a lot to be said about that as well. Like, I think that's one of the biggest underrated skill sets, is just doing big stuff at a young age. Like, if you take those risks, they're not always going to work, but the shifts up in your life so early in your life create outsized, crazy exponential returns. Like, the fact that I started in e-commerce when I was really young, 13, is why I'm good at it today. It's why that I have successful companies today. And even though, so I could rain on that for a while, but betting on yourself is such an underrated skill.
Right. And you're also a deep thinker, and you're also very analytical. And then you have the execution portion. There's a lot of idea guys, and there's people who don't execute. And then there's the people who keep their heads down, just keep going and going and going. You seem like a very hungry person, and you've built a lot of success there. I think, you said that like you're maybe too honest and too transparent to a fault. I think that I'm like one of those people that are like, I'll just do it for free. Like, I'll just help you out. Like, it doesn't monetarily translate, but my ethos, my pillars have always been, as long as I have a roof over my head and I can feed myself and the people I love around me and take care of them, I'm good. My goal in life is not to be a multimillionaire, or, I mean, that'd be great. That's the aim, right? But that's not my number one goal. And if I know that that's the case, that's my North Star, and I'm investing in myself, like you said, that is my happy place. And there's other people. I teach at a college, and we talk about, all these things, and we start it always off with, what are your pillars? Like, what are your core values? And in every decision that you make, you have to translate that back to your core values. And if they align, great. And if they don't, fine. Especially as kids are coming out of college, they are finally entering their first job. And you have to make the decision between money and experience / mentorship. And we get really distracted with the money, but what you really should be having is the gritty mentorship. Erin, when I first came and had my first internship, it was like a year wait to get even a response, let alone interview. You got in, and then you had the potential to maybe get a part-time job. And I was so fucking focused, dude. I was like, I don't care what I need to do. This is my foot in the door. And I worked my ass off, and I asked the questions nobody wanted to ask. I was an asshole about it, and I was nice about it. And you learn the right ways to communicate. You learn all these things that maybe the kids that are coming out that are trying to do media buying have never learned. So they don't have social skills, right? And I'm not saying not all, but you don't understand social skills. You don't understand the dynamic that's within a group. You think that it's me. And there's so much more to being successful than just making money. And you have to. That's all.
Dude, in sales, sales teaches that. And that's where I think a lot of people the reason I'm good at anything in business is because I learned sales. That's one of the first things my dad used to have a fishing rod company. We'd go do fishing rod trade shows, and convention shows are amazing. It's just people flooding through hallways, and you just have a limitless amount of times to pitch, just over and over and over. Then you can start seeing how people react to what you're saying, and you can see people react similarly or different. And so you can really master. So, but what I mean by that is they're all of that business at the highest level is just relationships. That's all it is. At the highest level of business, you can go past everyone. The highest level, it's just relationship. So then how do you be great at business? You become great at having relationships. How do you have a great relationship? You be a healthy, kind person who knows their values, who knows what they care about, what they're passionate about, what they're trying to do. So that way they can share that effectively and help people achieve that for them.
And you nurture those relationships too. So it's not just like a friend. There's a right way and a wrong way. People always say there is no right way. There is a right way and a wrong way with relationship building. And there is. And it's just genuine. Like people
give, don't take.
Right. Don't take. Always give more than you ever take. I'm glad we align there. And I think that's why we get along so well. I've only met Aaron White in person twice, but like there's certain people that you're like, yeah, that's my dude. Like that guy's in my group. And then you constantly check in. You go, yo, are you good? And how is everything going? And you watch them. If something happens, you don't feel this weird, like maybe I shouldn't always reach out, always see. And obviously like don't intrude and think that anyone owes you anything. There's a balance here. And you're right. There's so many things. And I think also for some reason, when you were speaking, I was thinking about raising children. I don't know why, maybe. And I was having a conversation with a good friend of mine, and they were like, how is it just like sales? I think it's because of your relationship with your dad. How is it that in sales, you were so comfortable to speak to other people? How are you able to speak on stage and all these things? And you said it's your dad and you went to these trade shows. And my mom, she used to make me go in restaurants and hand people flowers and sing happy birthday to them.
Really?
Oh yeah. She would force to meet people. She forced me to do my own bookkeeping when I was modeling as a kid at 7. She forced me to like watch her do her taxes. I don't know what the fuck she was doing, but I was learning. She forced me to do things that were uncomfortable, talk about money, religion, politics, all the things and friction points. And I'm so grateful for that. And I don't know what you said about just even the smallest thing of a conference or like a trade show.
Absolutely. Well, just it changes you. I fully intend when I'm raising children, when I have children, to teach them that. Like I want them out in the world. I want them making relationships, like learning how to be good people and help people and like serve people. Like to like okay, so like you were talking about like earlier about like outcome goals and achievement and like whether it's like, oh, do I want to be this multi-millionaire, billionaire, or whatever, or what am I trying to like I'm grateful. Lucid is a successful company that does pretty well, and so it's like agencies are good businesses because they although they're stressful as hell and probably more challenging more consistently than most businesses I know, they're also cash flow heavy businesses. So through Lucid, I started having access to more capital. And what's cool about having access to more capital is you stop thinking about it so much. And then when you stop thinking about it, you start thinking about what you actually care about. And so I got to this point midway through Lucid where I was like, what am I actually doing? Or even earlier in Lucid, like I'm on a mission to reduce human suffering and maximize human potential, like as much as I can. Like at a higher level, I'm just trying to love people deeply and widely. And like if you take money out of the equation, like or rather, no, like I said, money is just like, I think of money of like in my projects of like, money is just a reflection of the impact that I'm making by doing loving activities through my projects and my products. Like Lucid is on it. Like Lucid, like literally goes out and help brands who sell really what we call conscious compounds, therapeutic and net positive, meaning like they give more than they take. We just go and find those brands and help them distribute their products, which reduce suffering and maximize potential. Breeze, like it's an alternative to the $1.5 trillion alcoholic poisonous industry that has just terrorized society for a long time. Like, dude, what's so funny about alcohol? We didn't actually have alcohol like we have alcohol until fairly recently. Like people are like, oh, alcohol is ancient. It's always been part of human history. Yeah, like 4 to 10% wine has been, and like 2% beer. That's what's been part of human history for quite a while. But distilled liquor, like vodka, whiskey, these things, and they were never part of society. And just recently, in the last, I don't know, 500 or so years, have those really become part of society. And so like with Breeze, we're trying to just like give people a way to feel better without feeling worse. And there's so much, like, I guess I'm saying to back that up is like the biggest revelation I've had in business, is just having just enough money to not have to be so focused on it. So that way I can really focus on the impact of what I'm trying to do. And the funny thing is, as soon as you start focusing on the impact of what you're trying to do, the money's the easy part. Like that stuff just, it comes and goes. Like, my father-in-law had a quote, the money will come. Like if you can focus on doing the thing that's actually valuable inherently, then the money will be there. Just like, but that's a really hard thing for people to do until they have a little bit of money, so they can't do that. Like it's because it's a distraction. And there's things that you have to pay for, like obviously, like it can survive. And so, I like I don't know. That's why I think investing and taking a bet on yourself when you don't need a lot of money when you're young is a really good idea, because then you can start making moves that are more passion and instinct and impact and purpose driven versus hey, I need to make a little bit of money so I can go do this thing I actually want to do, which is where most people get stuck.
Yeah. There's two things here, right? So the first one it's so funny. Like I meet a lot of people, you meet a lot of people. You meet way more people than I meet too. So there's a lot of people
I don't know about
that. Well, you're in Italy. I'm here. So for right now, maybe you're enjoying your life a little bit more. I have to meet a lot of people, but I listen to a lot of people say what their ethos is and what what their mission is and what they really want. And I think you're the first I've ever actually heard and believed in a long time. So I'll say that to you.
Dude, I believe it from the bottom of my fucking heart. Like because I'm ready to die for it. Like I don't know if it's the psychedelics I've done or what, but like it's just perfect. I mean, joking, but like actually not joking. Like I realized, what am I going to be happy with if I was to die today? And it wouldn't be promoting fucking nonsense on the internet. It'd be promoting things that I actually think are making the world a better place, that are actually changing people's lives. Like when I get messages that people are like I got a message from someone the other day that had like their whole bachelor party and their bachelorette party and their whole wedding, and alcohol was not this terrorizing aspect that it has been in their life before, and it wasn't during their wedding. That was so like fulfilling to me. Like, and that's just a minor thing, but that's just like, it made me feel like, yeah, well, similar, but
Aaron,
this girl had like
you're
good.
No, you're absolutely right. Like I have to stop because like, I want Breeze at my wedding, right? Like that's what we're going to do. And Bachelorette, we said the same thing. I don't like alcohol. And when I worked in the alcohol business for a little bit, honestly, it felt wrong because I'm not a big drinker, but I know that when I do drink, I can hold my own. Things are going to be fun. It's going to be easy. But then as I'm getting older and I drank more, I get mean and I get sad, and all the things that I've suppressed for however many years is now coming up. It's like, who wants that? And I will tell you this. I'll tell you this because my fiance is a winemaker. Okay. So
cool.
Yeah, very cool. And his family, it's like this, it's an interesting dynamic. And I think a lot of people can relate to this, is that when you celebrate, you take a shot. When you're having a sad day, you take a shot. No, I'm serious. Like every single thing is you take a shot, you take a shot, you take a shot. And at first I didn't really think much of it. I was like, oh, okay, it's fine. And then I thought about it. I'm like, no, we're just giving excuses to take shots. So I stopped drinking to get back in the right mindset and to get in shape for the wedding. And I took a shot recently and I almost threw up. I felt like,
oh, really?
I was like, this is not right. And I do attest some of that to Breeze because I feel like I have another way to just relax and not care.
Yeah.
So really, really appreciate that. But I wanted to round out one more thing.
Cool.
And the Bachelorette thing, we're making content. It's happening. You already know.
Hell yeah. So, but I love that, by the way. I'll say one thing, which is alcohol is one of the few things that everyone inherently knows is the wrong thing. It's a weird thing. Because you ask people, like, especially a non-drinker, I walk up to someone, I'm like, oh yeah, no, it's okay, I don't drink. They're like, the first response, almost always, is, oh, well, I don't either. I don't, not that much. Or like, the instant reaction is to justify why they do drink rather than just be like, okay, cool. You know what I mean? And it's very, very strange because you don't do that about like orange juice. You don't do that about like apple juice. You don't do that. You don't do that about anything else really. But like my honest, I think that we'll look back 100 years from now maybe I don't even think it's 100 years. Actually, I think it's like 20 years. And we'll look at alcohol like we look at tobacco. I don't even think it's 20 years. It's probably 10 years, if not less. And we'll look at alcohol like we do tobacco and cigarettes. And that doesn't mean people won't use it, but it will just not have the same connotation and acceptance that it does now. And there, there's edge cases. Like I totally respect the craft of winemaking and the history that goes behind it. And don't get me wrong. I just think that the current alcohol culture is destined for failure, and looking forward to being part of its takedown.
Well, it's just the same argument that you had with makeup, right? Makeup in its art form is beautiful, but then, to require someone to wear makeup to go to work is just a joke in itself. It's the same concept. And,
Absolutely.
yeah. And it's one of those things where you are absolutely right. It's weird when people don't drink. And that's weird that we would say that it's weird that you don't drink. And
Right.
it's just like such a weird, like, who cares? You can do whatever you want. But I don't know. There's a lot of thoughts I have to it. And I will drop one of my ideas here because it becomes a really good ad down the road, which I plan for it to be. It's great. And the concept, I walk down the street a lot and I go, oh shit, I like this idea for this friend or my brands or this. And one of them for Breeze is I like the concept of it could either be a versus ad or it could be a text ad, but it's like no more drunk texts. Like text your ex, like, or you just save your
cool.
drunk text. Like it's just because you don't get in the same mindset. You don't start to think about all the old times and bullshit. No, you're just happy to be present. Stop thinking about the present. That's the difference between weed and I would say versus alcohol. But there's a lot of concepts that I have and I'll tell you about later. Anyway, the last point I wanted to make before we go into hot takes, because I know you have some spicy ones, is I was broke 5 years ago. And when I think it's 5 years, whatever. And you said something great. It's like once you get over the hump of making money, then you start to think about the things that matter to you. And I know what it's like not to have any money. My best friend and I were roommates. I don't like living alone. And at the time we were both broke, like so incredibly broke. So when all that happened and we get to the point where we are today, where we're in a much better place, the things you think about, the things you prioritize are so different. So I just wanted to round it out and I appreciate you saying that, but give me your hot take because I know we're running up on time.
This is a crazy thing for an advertising agency owner to say, but my hot take is I actually think media buying is probably dead. I think it's I think it's actually dead right now, and I don't think anyone's talking about it and realizing it. I don't think people realize it is what I actually think is the case. I don't know if I've been posting on Twitter, but I literally took all of Breeze's ads and threw them all into a single ASC shopping campaign and just let it rip, and it's outperforming anything and everything I was doing prior to that. And I'm just rotating and iterating to create. So what does that mean? Like, would I say media buying dead? I mean, I think that the actual manipulation of trying to be smarter than the algorithm is dying. But what is dead? It's the same thing everyone's been saying for years, but it's a little bit more specific. I think that it's all going to become about who can create the most compelling creatives and the most compelling angles alongside the most compelling landing pages, who can iterate through those effectively the quickest, and who can manage effectively ASC campaigns and like organizing them. But like this idea of targeting and like crazy levels of lookalike audience, interest-based audiences, and all these things. I think that all of that is just restrictions upon the AI, which is making the AI underperform. And when I was at Meta for the Performance Marketing Summit, it was just like, we are the AI gods, like Advantage Plus is the future, Advantage series, the Advantage Suite is the future. So my honest take, I don't think it's there's exceptions to the rule. And I don't think we're necessarily like 100% there yet. But I think that the ego and the fear of losing their jobs, just like a lot of people fear losing their jobs due to AI.
Well, I agree. And I don't think you realize that I agree. Why do you think I went into attribution and tracking? I knew that. I had it,
Right.
And optimization, I think, works, right? You can turn off, turn on, and tracking is an issue. That's not going to get better. So I knew that was the route, and how you get more sophisticated about understanding who your audiences are for full omni-channel is different. So with your email marketing and all these other portions, that's different. That media buying is the love. And I do think that creative is king always. And you tell people who your audience is. So the targeting, not so much. And this is my hot take is, and this is something that I actually struggle with internally with, the AdBeacon team. And we all love to go at it. And I'm so grateful. My partner is an amazing, amazing person. Also my complete opposite. But what I will say is, I didn't believe in RFM, and, that's recency frequency. And I forgot what the M meant, but a lot of people are like, we're creating these audiences. And originally, I believe it was through Retention X that created RFM, or at least utilized it for audience building. And when I used it years ago, or a year ago, it didn't work. It didn't work. And I was very skeptical of it. So we create this audience segment in AdBeacon where you can actually layer if-then statements based off of the data that we have, right? Like AOV of over 100. We can try that. And I want to prove that it works. And if it doesn't work, fine. But it's to your point of audiences. And it comes down to just optimization and how you optimize. But I don't think that you're right. There's one media buyer that can hack the system anymore. It's very different. Ever since 2020, 2021, the landscape has really fucking changed. And we talk to people is so different.
I think it's happening so fast too, dude. I think that I think Meta is investing heavily in order to get their ads to convert at scale again. Meta at Performance Marketing Summit, they were like, hey, this is the renaissance. We're in the best era ever. And I'm like, okay, but that's not what everyone's reporting actually. So, but who is reporting it? It's actually people who are doing the least, not the most, that are reporting that. I know brands that are rushing it. ROAS is that media buyers that I know would just die to get anywhere close to. And they're just doing very, very, very. So what becomes important? Things how do we handle that loosely? We can run an advertising agency. We are doubling down on making the most exceptional creatives we can. We are getting innovative and creative with compliance and strategy and being able to handle the kitchen sink that could be thrown at us at different times for different angles. We're getting quicker and better at iterating through landing pages and conversion rate optimization and web development and design. So it's not that advertising agencies are going to die. They're just going to change. The quicker that these people jump on that bandwagon, I think the better they'll do. And here's the thing, dude, because we've all been saying it forever as well, is even if that wasn't the case, which it is, but even if it wasn't the case, what's the biggest lever right now in media buyer advertising? It's not running to a different interest audience. It's making a new landing page and a new creative that converts better. That's what the biggest lever is, no matter how you go about it.
CRO was huge. Well, okay. I know we're running up on time, and it has been an honor to have you, Aaron. I'm so grateful.
Likewise, dude.
Where can they freaking find you in your brain?
Yeah. Aaron J. Nosbisch, Nosbisch, at Aaron J. Nosbisch. Breeze is at Drink Breeze. Lucid is at We Are Lucid. And float around. Feel free to message me, talk to me anytime. I'm grateful. I'm learning on the go, share when I learn, doing what I love. So thanks for having me on. I really appreciate it.
So happy to have you on. All right. Bye, guys.